Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks, including 170 stations in the U.S. and XM 166 on Sunday, February 26th, 2012. This is episode 852. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, and it's time to talk about all that jazz, you know, the stuff with chips in it, computers and cell phones and home theater and all that stuff. Anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to call with a question, a comment, a suggestion. I'd love to hear from you. 888-827-5536. We've been talking a lot over the last few weeks, in fact, over the last few years, about security and privacy. Things have changed so much with the internet. Yesterday I was reading, it was fun. I was looking back at a document about the early days of the internet. And when I say early days, I mean the late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't that long ago. The early days of the internet, when people were first getting on. In fact, the document I was reading, which was published, I think, in 93, said, you know, there are as many as 10 million people on the internet worldwide. Fast forward 20-some years, I guess almost 30 years now, right? And there's more than 1 billion people on the internet. Things have changed so rapidly that our culture and our mores and our technologies even have kind of not kept up with the rapid growth of the internet and how things have changed. And this is really seen particularly when you come to security and privacy. Big RSA conference is coming up in San Francisco Bay Area this week, talking about security. And, of course, in the news lately, there's been a lot about privacy, most recently about Google invading your privacy on the iPhone by sneaking around Apple's Safari privacy settings. And my tendency is to cut people a little bit of slack because this is so new. We're still just feeling out what our mores, what our expectations are in this realm. Privacy is a really tough one. Really, really difficult. You know, we go onto the internet. I've talked about this now over the last couple of weeks, but my thinking has evolved over time. We go onto the internet, and we get a lot of free stuff. We get Facebook. We get Google. You know, you forget that there's huge expense involved in Google providing you an index to the world. The way it works is they put advertising on pages, and they make that money back. They're quite profitable. Same with Facebook. Facebook gives you a very useful tool to keep in track with friends, family. But in return, they take the personal information you voluntarily hand them, and they use it to put ads on those pages, ads that are targeted at you. That makes them more valuable. Last year, Facebook made $1 billion, and they haven't even begun, really, to take advantage of what they know about you. They're just starting to do that, and rightly so. They're being very careful. There's a big difference, though, between Facebook and Google. Facebook, at least for now, I don't know how long this will last, is what we call a walled garden. You go inside the Facebook space and you operate inside there, and that's where you see the ads. That's where you give up personal information and so forth. Facebook's been making little noises about, you know, those like buttons now are out there in the real world. But most of what happens in Facebook is inside this walled garden. So you know when you go in there, you know, kind of understand what you're giving up. Same as when you go to a grocery store and you have their club card. You kind of know that, well, they're going to monitor with that club card what I buy. In return, I get better prices on stuff. But I know it's a trade that I understand. I'm giving that information up for better prices. I go into Facebook. I'm giving up certain information for that free service. Google's a little bit in a more challenging situation because there isn't a walled garden for Google. Google puts ads on many pages all over the internet. they've kind of, in fact, I think Facebook envies a little bit Google. But it's funny because both companies envy each other. Google envies Facebook's amazing ability to gather everything you do and send it as social signals to your friends. Facebook kind of envies the fact that Google doesn't have to just limit itself to its own pages. But in both cases, there is a trade. Now, unfortunately, it may not be explicit, and certainly not as explicit as going to a grocery store signing up for a club card. But in both cases, there is that kind of trade where you're giving them information about what you do on the net. When you use Google's mail service, Gmail, for instance, you may notice this creeps people out sometimes, that the advertisements have something to do with what's in your mail. That if you are sending a buddy a note saying, let's go fishing, you might see an ad for fishing tackle right next to it. And that freaks people out, but it's very similar to when you check out at the grocery store and you get coupons on your receipt that say, hey, you seem to like Raisin Bran, want a deal? It's exactly the same thing. It's just more, it seems to me, I think people understand a little bit better what's happening in the grocery store. So I want to make it clear that when you go to Facebook, when you use Google, when you sign up for a Google account, you're getting free services, and the way you're paying for it is with a certain amount of personal information. That's why Google will give you an ad on its email service. It's free email service, quite a good service for free. We used to pay for that kind of stuff. They pay for it with those ads that have to do. Do they care about you personally? No. In fact, probably less so than the grocery store. Because the grocery store really does try to kind of find out what you are up to in a lot of different ways. Great article in the Sunday Times 2 weeks ago about how Target uses information about what you buy, what you do online, what you do when you call their helpline, and aggregates that all. Everybody who walks in a Target store is given a unique customer ID, and they aggregate all sorts of data around that, because the more they know about you, the better they can target you with advertising. They're doing the same thing, aren't they? The title, the headline that got a lot of attention to that New York Times article was Target knows you're pregnant. They're trying very hard. In fact, it's kind of unfortunate because New York Times, they didn't have such a sensational headline. It was how Target collects information about you. And was it the Huffington Post? Somebody republished the article with a much more sensationalistic headline, how Target knows a teenage girl is pregnant before her parents do. Got all the traffic, by the way, even though it's the same article. They got all the traffic. So this is going on. It has been going on. It's been going on for as long as there have been stores and databases. Computers make it easier and faster. I think it's really important that you understand that that's what's happening. There's a song, remember, what is it? The night has 1,000 eyes. The net has 1,000,000 eyes. They're all watching you. And it's not just Facebook and Google. Congressman Lamar Smith of Texas has just introduced a bill into the House, which is very likely to pass the House. It's already passed the Judiciary Committee. H.R., if you want to read about it, H.R. 1981. He calls it something like, let me get the exact title because it's kind of telling. It isn't the title doesn't reflect exactly what it is. Protecting Children from Internet Pornographers Act of 2011. In fact, it has nothing to do with Internet pornographers. The act requires your Internet service provider to save data on you for 18 months by federal law for 18 months. That data, yeah, it's available to law enforcement, but that's not the point of the act. The data is also available to anybody who sues you, including the music industry, the Motion Picture Association. It's really about making it easier to find out what you're doing online. So in case you're stealing movies, TV shows, or books, they can find you, track you down, and sue you. In fact, it doesn't have anything to do with Internet pornography as far as I can tell. And it certainly doesn't protect children from Internet pornography. It's a very telling name. Lamar Smith it's obviously, he's very clear that this is not going to be a very popular bill, so he's clothing it, this wolf, in sheep's clothing. Who could be against protecting children from Internet pornographers? When in fact it's protecting the record company from you. So the government is watching you. Your Internet service provider is watching you. Google and Facebook are watching you. And let me tell you something, you get a lot more from Google and Facebook for that than you do from your government or your Internet service provider. You pay your Internet service provider for the privilege. Google pays you for the privilege. So before we get all hot and bothered about our privacy being invaded, You might think about who's doing it, and you might think about what you're doing on the internet. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. Oh, yeah, a little sound guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Phone number if you want to call and talk, 8888 Ask Leo. Talk about privacy, security. In the new internet era, it's a whole different thing, isn't it? You know, I think something that's important to remember, and Tim O'Reilly, who's a big thinker in these areas, publisher, owns O'Reilly Media. You probably see many of the O'Reilly computer books. He publishes Make magazine. But he thinks a lot about this stuff. And it's his opinion, and I kind of have to agree with him. He says, you know, there's two interlocking things that protect our privacy and security in the pre-internet era as well as now. One is, of course, laws. But the other is mores, is society, is expectations. He says, you know, it's not so hard to break into a house, frankly. That lock isn't really effective in most cases. It's more of a signal. It's more of a societal signal saying, you know, I lock my door, I lock my window. I'm asking that you not try to get in. Now, of course, we have laws if somebody does try to get in. But also we rely on societal expectations to keep people from peering into your windows, for instance. It's against the law, but it's also society that protects you. People just don't walk up in the windows and look in at night and see, well, what are you watching on TV? The laws are there, but the real protection comes from societal expectations. And when something is as new as the internet, we just haven't developed societal expectations. So sometimes what happens, I think, as a result, is that the lawmakers feel that they need to step in. And they over-legislate and over-regulate and get over-involved, things like this H.R. 1981. They get too involved because that we don't have those mores, those societal taboos. So Tim says, and I agree with him, let's develop these societal taboos. Let's start having expectations about what is and isn't okay online. Is it okay for an app to upload your address book to their servers and store it for a length of time? Well, clearly not without letting you know. Is it okay if they let you know? Is it okay if they ask you permission? Is it okay if you get something for that? What are the expectations? What is taboo? What is allowed? These are things we need to develop, not legislate. Because legislation isn't as fluid, isn't as elegant, isn't as effective in the long run as expectations, societal expectations. Sometimes you do have to have laws to back those up so that somebody can't just walk up and look in your window. But really, the thing that's most effective at keeping somebody from doing that or walking in your front door, I don't even lock my front door because there's this, I have a front door. And there's this expectation that you just don't do that. And most people honor that, and it's very effective. All right, to the phones we go. I'd love to know what you think. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Andrew is our first caller of the day from Salinas, California. Hey, Andrew, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Wait a minute. Let me press the button. Hold on. Now, let's see. Yeah, there it is. Hey, Andrew. Yeah, sorry. You hear that big chunk? That's me saying hello.
Yes, I do. I was waiting for that. I didn't hear it at first. Okay. You got me looking at the Samsung Note.
Yeah. It's, I have abandoned all, I have forsaken all others in favor of this ginormous 5.3-inch screen, and I have to report that I'm very happy.
I am too. I looked. I held it in my hand, and it's great. You can actually write on it. That's great.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I put mine in a leather note, so it looks like a little notepad, like somebody would carry around. And I flip it open. I pull out the stylus, and then you're absolutely right. Here's the trick on this. You press the stylus is a Wacom style. Stylus means it's pressure sensitive. You tap the button and you double tap the screen, and a little notepad opens up, and you can take handwritten notes.
And it's fairly accurate.
Yeah, the only thing I wonder if I'll be able to do this for very long. The only thing is I notice there's a little bit of lag.
Yeah, I guess, but that might be improved by firmware updates and software updates.
But I do love the idea. If somebody gives me a phone number firing up, Evernote and then the keyboard and then typing it in takes too long. But just writing 555-1212, even with my lousy handwriting, that was easy.
The swipe function did not impress me at all.
Tell me about the swipe functions. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay, the swipe function is where the keyboard pops up. And
the swipe keyboard. Yeah, I know about that because the swipe keyboard is a acquired taste. I happen to like it, but fortunately, unlike the iPhone, where you're really stuck with the keyboard Apple gives you, and frankly, which I think is execrable. You have many choices on Android, including Samsung has its keyboard. There's the default Google keyboard. There's Swipe. Those three come with the Samsung, but you can also install things like SwiftKey. So you just have to try the one you like. If you like tapping or you like two-finger typing, thumb typing, then probably the Samsung keyboard's the best.
So here's my question. Okay, I'm looking at it. I have an OtterBox Defender case for my iPhone 4. And it's great. So I need to have. I'm in the construction industry, so I need a bulletproof case, and the OtterBox Defender.
I love the OtterBoxes. Now, one of the reasons there's so many more cases for iPhones is they don't change the design but every 2 years.
Yeah. So, is there an OtterBox or OtterBox Defender case for the iPhone for the Samsung Note?
You know what? I didn't think there was, but Haven't Found Me in our chat room says yes. OtterBox makes a Note Defender. I'm blown away. Good for you, OtterBox. OtterBoxes are great. They are really tough. You can literally throw it on the ground.
Exactly.
And the OtterBox it'll bounce.
Exactly. I have a honeycomb tablet. It's a Toshiba Thrive. Mm-hmm. And I love it. So I'm going from and the iPhone and the Thrive don't talk very well together.
Yeah.
I have a app called FTP for the Thrive, so I can get into my NAS box, and it works very, very well. Is there an app for the Samsung for the Note that works over the cellular network?
That I don't know. That's a good question. I'm sure there is. In fact, I would look and see if FTP is available because Android generally people make it for both the tablet and the phone if they can because you want to you want to hit the bigger market. The tablet market's tiny. Yeah. So I would look and see on the market. And by the way, they tell me the OtterBox for the Note comes out next month.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And then two more questions, if I may.
Yeah.
Outlook. Does it sync well with Outlook?
Yeah. Although my recommendation, and I would say this on the iPhone as well, is that you sync your Outlook to Google. Use Google Calendar. Then you'll get two-way syncing automatically with Android and iPhone. And I generally recommend people do that because then when you move to a new phone, by the way, it's trivial. You don't have to connect the phone up. It's done wirelessly. And so what I would do is, and Google offers a free sync program for Outlook so that you get the Outlook stuff to Google Calendar and then just continue to use Google Calendar when you're online or when you're on the phone. And I find that works really, really well with contacts as well. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sell Extreme. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oscar night tonight. I'm going to be on an airplane. Unfortunately, I'm flying to Seattle to do a talk tomorrow for I think it's the National Conference of Principals of Girls' Schools. Hi. I'll wear a skirt. I'm going to talk about the future of work. That's what their conference is about, which is kind of fun. So I'll be, is there any way, so this is my question, is there any way that I could watch the Oscars? Here's what I'd like. I'd get in the car about 5 o'clock. I'd like to listen to the Oscars on the, maybe I could stream it on my phone or my iPad as I'm going and listen to it. And then, too bad, I think the airline I'm on doesn't have TV, so I won't be able to watch it on the plane. But that's all right. I'd like to get off and then continue watching. Is there streaming Oscars? No. There's no streaming Oscars. There is an Oscars app. You can see behind the scenes, which is cool. I thought it was really cool that the NFL decided that this was the year to stream the Super Bowl. Everything's got to be streamed, but you understand these companies are terrified. ABC, for instance, who pays a lot of money, I'm sure, for the rights to broadcast the Academy Awards ceremonies tonight, really doesn't want you to be watching that on the Internet. They're just terrified of the whole Internet thing. This Internet's scary. Think of the children. And I really think these companies have to start coming, join the 21st century, kids. People should be able to listen. I believe consumers want the right and ability to listen and watch whatever they want, whenever they want it, wherever they want it. And to the degree that a company can provide that access, that's the degree the company will succeed going forward. And to the degree that you're terrified of the real problem is they don't want to ruin their business. They don't want to ruin that broadcast television model. But guess what? It's going to be ruined anyway. Maybe you should start thinking about the future instead of the past. George in Houston, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, George.
Hi. You may laugh at me, but I have a computer that's 7 years old. The hard drive is 7
Yeah. No, I wouldn't laugh at you for that.
Well, actually, the hard drive is 7 years old. It's never been reformatted or anything like that. But the motherboard is about 3 years old. And the computer still works quite nicely. Sure. However, it does something weird now every now and then, and that is it restarts itself sometimes when I go somewhere on the web. It seems to be just when I try to surf somewhere. It doesn't seem to be doing any other internal function like burning a CD or anything like that.
George, it's old, it's tired, it wants to go to bed.
Okay.
7 years old is pretty old for a computer. Now, I'm just joking. First of all, and this is going to be more and more true because our computers now are so fast that it seems likely that there won't be major increases in speed going forward. So a computer you bought in the last few years is probably more than adequate to continue doing everything you want to do. 7 years, that's a long time. What is that, 2004, 2005? That's a long time. Things have changed quite a bit since 2004, 2005. But, solid-state stuff shouldn't wear out. You say the hard drive is 7 years old. That'd be the first thing I'd look at. The other thing I'd look at is the power supply. People forget the power supplies do wear out.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing to be aware of, and sudden restarts are often a symptom of this, is overheating. Have you been inside? Is it a laptop or desktop?
It's a desktop, and I was going to say I'm operating it with the side off the computer, and I did see some dust under the fan there. I did blow that out with a can of air, but it still does it.
Yeah, so sometimes overheating, the computer will actually shut itself down to protect itself.
What happened?
Go ahead.
I also get a message saying that after it restarts itself, I get a little note saying that I have recovered from a serious error. And there may be a program that's doing this, and do I want to send a report to Microsoft? And I do.
The serious error is that the computer went...
Yes.
So we don't really know if what it's saying is the computer crashed and I'd like to send a report to Microsoft, or that there's an actual program. It doesn't say what the program is, does it?
That's what it says. It can't identify what the program is.
Yeah, because the computer barfed is what's happening. So I don't know if that's useful. Error messages in general from computers are useless because they come after the fact. The computer is running pretty fast, and by the time it notices that something's wrong, it's moved on. And so where it says the error happened, unless you've got a debugging tool running and you're stepping it, where it says is often completely unrelated to what happened. So I don't know if you can trust the error message. I think it does. I think it probably has to do with the age of it. There's no reason to assume that the computer is worn out. You might want to go through. You bought a new motherboard. Is there a reason you bought a new motherboard?
Actually, I was struck by lightning nearby, and it blew up my motherboard, and they replaced it and got me a new one.
Yeah, I would get a new power supply. That could have been ruined by the lightning as well.
Okay.
So power supply could be failing. Struck by lightning usually means more than just the. It means more than just the motherboard. So I would guess that lightning hit probably affected other things. And that rebooting is usually not a software problem on a modern operating system. If you're using anything based on the Windows NT kernel, which means from XP on, those operating systems are designed to survive program crashes. Remember in the old days, a program would crash Windows 95 or 98, and you'd really want to reboot it because the whole operating system is now going to be shaky. That's because in those days they didn't have protected memory. A crashing program could actually overwrite system memory and cause the system to be unreliable. Modern computers, certainly Windows 7, and of course Mac OS 10, System memory is protected. A crashing program generally cannot screw it up. The only things that can modify the system memory are drivers. So device drivers can sometimes cause crashes and blue screens, but applications generally do not. And a sudden shutdown is almost always a hardware issue. It's rare that you will see, unless the operating system is severely messed up. And in that case, I don't think it would run. It's my strong suspicion that you've got a hardware issue, either overheating, a bad power supply. I would look at both of those. Doug in Temecula, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Been listening to you for years and really appreciate all the money that you've saved me. My girlfriend, she laughs at me because she thinks I have a man crush on you.
I think it goes either way. I think I spend money too. Right? Yeah, you've bought a few things because of me too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't tell your girlfriend that, okay? I want our love to be pure.
Yes, and I also think you should change your name to the Tech God.
No. I would for sure be hit by lightning at that point.
Absolutely. Leo, I'm so glad that you brought up security today. I've been trying to get in for weeks, and I know you're a busy show, but I think you're the only one that can really help me. I've been to my providers, and I'm just receiving no help. Somehow my text and email have been compromised. And what happens is I send out an email or a text, and my girlfriend receives a text with the information in it, and it's just infuriating. I feel completely violated.
Wait a minute. So you sent a text to somebody not your girlfriend?
Correct.
And then this bad guy who's watching you says, "Hey, you ought to see what Doug just wrote," and sends it to her?
With the information that I sent. And it's, I'm sending these texts it's only to certain people, and it's ex-girlfriends or something like that. It's just frustrating. I just feel completely violated.
How does it encapsulate that information? Is it just exactly the same text that you sent to this other person, or is it somehow
summarized?
It's summarized. It's like, hey, you ought to see what Doug just said kind of thing?
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. That doesn't sound good. That does not sound good. I have some experts on security in studio with me. We're gonna cogitate, and we shall return with an answer right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
I don't know what to do. So it wasn't you. All right. Honey came in and she got me red-handed.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Kyle Benham, our musical director, blame him. We're talking with Doug. This is not a joking matter. This is serious. He says whenever he sends a text message, somebody's intercepting it and forwarding it to his girlfriend. And now Doug does, and then you said the same thing happens with your emails.
Yes, the email has been less compromised. It's typically text.
Let me ask you how you text. Are you using a text service like WhatsApp or Google Voice, or are you using the wireless phone company's own built-in SMS service?
Built-in SMS.
Really?
I have had Google Talk, but I no longer use that. Google Voice, but I no longer use it.
And you're sure when you're sending texts you're not using Google Voice by accident?
Correct. Yes, correct. I've completely eliminated it.
To my knowledge, if you're using carrier's SMS, in other words, it's coming from your number. Not using, there are many services that use data instead of SMS, text messaging, because text messaging is expensive. Google Voice is one of them, but there's WhatsApp, there's GroupMe, there's a ton of these. Even Facebook's Messenger and Apple's Messenger programs are using data, not SMS, to send these messages. So if you use any of those, I could see how there might be a vulnerability. But if you're using the carrier's built-in SMS,
I am.
Then in order for somebody to spy on you and to forward those messages to somebody else, they to my knowledge, it's very, there used to be you could clone a cell phone in the analog cell phone days. That is not possible anymore. Who's your carrier?
It's T-Mobile.
It is a GSM phone. GSM does have some vulnerabilities, and there are Bluetooth vulnerabilities out there, and it's possible you also... What kind of phone is it? Android?
Based on your recommendation, I have the S2.
S2. So, and then it is... So as Android, it's possible you also have a malicious keystroke logger on there.
That's my thought, because my girlfriend has a Psycho X that has downloaded PC Pandora to her computer a long time ago. That was a year and a half ago.
He is psycho, and he is technically savvy.
He's not so technically savvy, but he's about as tech as I am.
But he's enough to figure out that he could put a keystroke logger on his ex-girlfriend's machine, and see what she's doing. And so I could see why you would be a little paranoid about him doing that. Has he ever had physical access to your phone?
Never. All the messages come in from an anonymous text or sender. Excuse me. They're always anonymous. The first message was received by Facebook, on her Facebook, and everything always goes to her phone or to her Facebook. I've changed all my passwords. I've changed my SIM card.
I would do a restore of the phone just to make sure there's no keystroke logging software on there.
I actually got I had a problem with the mini USB port not charging, so I actually just received a new phone within 2 weeks.
And it's still happening.
I have a new phone.
And it's still happening.
It's still happening.
And the person to whom you are sending and it's a number of different people to whom you're sending these messages?
Correct. And then the message includes information that I sent to each of these individual people. I've even confronted a few of these people and said, "Hey, what's going on here? Are you doing this?" And they say no. Everyone said no. No. It really seems like I've been keystroked.
Yeah, sure does.
And I don't believe it's my girlfriend. I really trust that it's not. I mean, is there any way to find out if she or anybody has put anything on my computer? I've run the CRT. I've got software.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little tricky. It shouldn't be. If it's just from your phone, the computer isn't really involved at this point. I mean, you can. There are Microsoft offers actually a good rootkit detection program, as does ESET. I would download a rootkit revealer. That's what it's called, from Microsoft, and just see if you've got a rootkit, which is a hidden program on your system. Certainly, any security software will detect anything that's not really hidden by a rootkit. Kaspersky offers something called TSS Killer that's also quite good. This is a fascinating subject. It's not immediately obvious to me how they're doing this. You've got a brand new phone. Within 2 weeks, it's happening again. They don't have physical access to your phone. It's going to a number of different people. For one person, I'd say, well, maybe they're compromised. But it's a number of different people. GSM phones are a little less secure than CDMA, but I don't think it's trivial to attack somebody in a way that they can see everybody's SMS messages. It's interesting that he's using, or she, or the bad guy's using Facebook to contact your girlfriend. It is, but it's coming from an anonymous Facebook account, Doug. What is the message to her? Where is that coming from? Somewhere.
It comes from an anonymous text, or it comes from. She's received just a few from Facebook.
From whom on Facebook?
Eileen Ocampo.
So it's a made-up Facebook account.
Correct. Pictureless. Yeah, made-up Facebook. And that was just recent. That was the most recent one. But it did originally come from Facebook. The first one or two texts. This has happened since November, and it's I would say I've had at least 15.
Well, that's scary. I would absolutely call T-Mobile and change your T-Mobile login. I do not know if T-Mobile allows web access to your text messages, but that could be a vulnerability if they do.
I changed my text or my password to T-Mobile. So I have done that. I have contacted T-Mobile. They don't really have an answer for me.
I mean, whoever's doing this is breaking federal laws. It's a serious, it's a serious crime.
I would prosecute to the hilt.
Yeah. But it's just baffling to me. I don't, I apologize, Doug, for not having a better answer. The chat room is also chewing on this, and nobody's come up with a credible explanation of how this could happen on a GSM network, you're usually pretty secure. Make sure, AKA Speed has a good point, make sure, well, you got a new phone, so you didn't take the SD card out of the old phone and put it in the new one, did you?
I had it changed, but originally, yes, for a week I did.
So maybe there was something on that SD card. You want to really make sure that's wiped.
Okay.
And I'd reset your phone. I mean, your phone must be compromised. Unless, you know, it's baffling to me. You're not doing this on Wi-Fi. You're doing it out in the world on your GSM phone network, so it's not your Wi-Fi being hacked. You know, I apologize. It should be obvious. If I were Sherlock Holmes, the answer would leap out at me, but it does not at the moment, and I cannot really think of what is going on. I would think T-Mobile will be more helpful, but they may have, you know, you might escalate it to T-Mobile and see if they can be more helpful. Let's keep thinking about it, all right? Doug, keep listening. Maybe our chat room will come up with something. That is a baffler. We get calls, I would say, a few times a year from people who have been compromised in this way. And it often baffles me. It's not, and I suspect that there's some obvious thing, you know, like your cleaning lady or something. I don't know what it is. I've never, I can't from the facts figure out how this could happen. Well, we'll keep thinking about it. Boy, Doug, you have my sympathy. I don't know what the answer is, however. We're going to talk to Bob in Toms River, New Jersey in just a bit. He says iTunes Match ain't working. I'll join the club, Bob. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, keystroke loggers, Trojan horses, worms, viruses, Facebook, and Google. 8888 Ask Leo. Did I get everything in there? That's the number, 8888. And Twitter. I left out Twitter. 8888 Ask Leo. On photography, too. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, joins us at 33 past the hour. We're going to finally review our assignment for people who submitted photographs to our assignment to illustrate the concept. I think it was music, right? That'll be fun. I can't wait. That's 33 past the hour. So we've conferred, we've put our heads together, and I think we've come up with the only possible answer to our last call. And I feel for Doug. Just to summarize, Doug is an Android smartphone user. He has a Galaxy S2 running on T-Mobile. For some time now, he's been plagued by somebody sending summaries of the text messages he sends to ex-girlfriends and others to his current girlfriend. This person's doing it via SMS and through Facebook. In fact, most of them are coming through Facebook through a phony Facebook profile. And, of course, his ex-girlfriend is probably not too happy about seeing these messages. He's not too happy about her seeing them. The question is, how is this happening? And, Doug, after really racking our brains, you know, the issue is, how can somebody see the text messages? He says his mail's also been compromised, but the text messages in particular. How could somebody see the text messages you send from your phone? Can T-Mobile see them? Yes. So it's possible. One of the possible solutions would be that somebody who works at T-Mobile has it in for you and is, by the way, jeopardizing not only their job but risking federal penitentiary by looking through your records and then sending summaries of email or text messages to your girlfriend. That's one possibility. There is another possibility that, Doug, you may not want to contemplate, but I think we believe this is the case. There is software that you could put on a phone that would do this, that would log the keystrokes. And in fact, our chat room has sent me a link to one of these programs, but I'm sure there's others. It's called Mobile Spy at mobile-spy.com. Monitoring software for mobile phones. Monitor text messages, calls, and GPS online. And this software runs, according to the manufacturer, on all kinds of phones, including Android phones, BlackBerries, Symbians, iPhones, and iPads. The problem with this app, of course, is you'd have to have physical access to the phone in order to put this app on there. Let's complicate the matter more. Doug says 2 weeks ago his phone broke, so he got a brand new one, and it's already started again. So I have to think the easiest, most likely solution is that somebody has physical access to your phone and is putting this stuff on there. And, of course, it's your girlfriend, right? And it kind of all fits together. Your girlfriend probably, you're visiting. You go to the bathroom, you go to sleep. She borrows the phone, puts this stuff on there, then sends a message to herself via Facebook, a fake Facebook account. I think that's about all I can. That seems the most likely scenario. It's kind of it seems less likely to think that there's somebody at T-Mobile who has it in for you, and would risk really very serious criminal penalties if they got caught, and they will get caught. And I think probably one of the reasons T-Mobile doesn't want to help you is I think they probably came to the same conclusion that they don't want to get involved. That's my best guess. I don't know, obviously. I can't think of any other likely scenario. It's somebody with physical access to your phone could do this easily. So you just have to figure out who has had physical access to my phone and would be likely to do this. Maybe it's your mom. I don't know. Maybe it's your best friend. But it's somebody who has. You can't get these things on there without physical access to the phone. Let's move on. Bob is in Toms River, New Jersey. Hey, Bob, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I'm running Windows 7. I have iTunes 10. I subscribe to the iTunes Match, and I've tried 4 or 5 times to go through the process. It would go through the first 2 processes fine, and then when it would get to 3, it would run for like 45 minutes, then finally say timed out, cannot continue.
How many songs do you have on your library?
Oh, I've had tons. Like
there's a limit, I think it's I can't remember what it is, but I think it's 25,000 tracks.
Ah.
You have more than that? That's a lot.
Oh, see, I have 4,494.
No, that's not bad. In fact, that's about what I have on my iTunes library. Well below the 25,000 limit.
Right.
I have 3,500, 4,000. I mean, this is why 25,000 is such a big number. It's hard to get that big of a library together. I have 30 gigs devoted to it, and still only 3,500 tracks. So it's not that.
I was on the phone with tech support for over an hour, and they couldn't figure it out. So finally, they just reimbursed my money.
Well, that's good.
So, but I would like to.
I know Match is so cool. Match is so cool. So the whole idea of iTunes Match, you pay $25, and then every song that's in your iTunes library, Apple, without uploading it, in most cases, will look that song up and say, "Yeah, we got it. Yeah, we got it." So if it's in the iTunes store, they'll say, "Yeah, we've got it." And that means on any other device, I think there's a limit of 5 devices, but on any other of those 5 devices, your iPhone, your iPad, and another computer, you can install iTunes and download. And what's great is instead of getting, perhaps you have 128 kilobit per second MP3, you'll get a 256 kilobit AAC, high-quality, unprotected version of that song. You can even, and I did this in my case, I had a lot of my songs I had purchased from iTunes when they still were copy protecting them. I deleted first I matched everything. This is key. I matched everything in my library. Then I deleted it all in my library and said, I got to replace them all with the unprotected high-quality versions. The only time this doesn't work so well is if your stuff is digitized at a very low bit rate, I think below 96 kilobits per second, or if Apple doesn't have a matching copy. In that case, it will upload a copy and store it for you. So effectively what happens is your entire iTunes library is stored in the cloud and can be downloaded to your phone or other devices. So you're getting through the first stage, which is it scans your library, and it's uploading that information.
Right.
Second stage is what? I can't even remember. It matches the stuff?
Something, I forget. But it gets through that, too. I do have a lot of songs that I ripped from cassettes. I don't know if that...
Yeah, that would. I think those songs would be very difficult for them to find, even if they already have that song of that name, because it comes from a cassette and it's a rip. It's not a digital rip. Those songs are probably going to cause iTunes Match to choke. So if you can figure which ones those are out, I would move those out of your library and try it again. Because what's going to happen is it's going to say, I don't have any of those songs. I need to upload each and every one of those, and that's going to take a long time. So take the songs you've ripped from cassette are not going to get matched. I can almost guarantee you. They're not going to look the same. They're not going to be the same number of bits. They're not going to be, enough differences that iTunes is going to say, hey, I don't have that song. Even if it's, something that it does have, it's going to say, I can't match that. And same thing if you take it from vinyl, by the way. I am going to upload it. So each and every one of those songs has to be uploaded now to iTunes, and that's where it's choking. That might take days and days and days and days and days. So if you want this to work, Bob, and you do, you're going to have to forego the idea of matching the cassette rips. Those I would just take them out of your library, try it then. And I suspect everything will work just fine. It works best with digital rips, things from CDs or things you downloaded from Internet music stores. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Remember the mixtape? If you liked a girl, you'd make a cassette that would, have all the songs that said the things you wanted to say but were too shy to say. And so much fun. Now, kids, I don't know what they do. They don't give cassette tapes to each other. They make playlists. It's not the same. I made you a playlist. There are places that you can go online, mixtape.me, things like that, where you can Groove Shark's a great one, where you can make a playlist, make a Groove Shark playlist, or Spotify, and then say, I made you a playlist. and she can listen to all the songs. Mixed CDs, I guess we did. I missed that. I'm too old for mixed CDs. We were mixed tapes, cassette tapes. Did people do mixed CD? I guess you could do a mixed CD. Sure, give them a CD. Here's an article from the chat room for ezinearticles.com. Think your girlfriend is texting another guy in secret? Cell phone tracking software will help. I bet you Doug's girlfriend read this article and borrowed his phone. Installed something on there. Said, hey, gotcha. Interesting article in the Sunday Times of London that I'm trying to track down, and unfortunately the Sunday Times requires you to pay them £2 a week if you want to read their articles, but I'm sure we'll find out more about this. Read Write Web is working on it. According to this article, and again, I haven't read the original, so I don't know what they're talking about, Facebook, Yahoo, Google, YouTube, and others are reading your text messages. This article, and I haven't verified it because I'm trying to pay £2 right now to the London Times so I can read this. This article says that when you install the Facebook app, which we all have done, right? In fact, I think it comes with the iPhone and many Android phones. It's just built in, so you don't even have to do anything. That app, according to this article, can read the text messages on your phone. According to this article, Facebook has actually admitted that they have been reading text messages. That's not right. That can't possibly. They'd be in so much trouble. The Sunday Times also says Flickr, Badoo, which is a social network, and Yahoo Messenger are reading text messages. YouTube, according to this article, can remotely access your smartphone's camera, while apps like Tennis Juggling Game and My Remote Lock can intercept user calls. Now, I'd like to know what kinds of phones. Is it Android? Is it iPhones? Are they just looking at the permissions on Android? Because permissions are often much broader than what the app is actually doing. Read Write Web, which is a very credible source, is working this story right now, and as soon as there's some information about it, I will I'll let you know. So this could be, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, privacy is going to be topic 1 in the year 2012. And part of it is because things are changing so rapidly that we don't yet have the mores, the standards, the ways of dealing with this. What we don't want, and what I don't want, and I think most of you would agree, is to have the government march in with brute force laws to protect us. That's not how things work. The laws, they're there to back up social standards, taboos, and mores, and I think we need to make those standards first. 8888 Ask Leo, what do you think? Mike in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I've got a Dell laptop. It's an XPS 1730, and probably about a year ago, I started receiving an error message when I would plug in the charger that didn't recognize the charger, and then it wouldn't charge, and then it would work sporadically, and for the last few months, hasn't worked at all. And so it works. It works in that when I connect it to the charger, the computer will run, but the battery hasn't been charged in some time now. And I looked online and haven't found anything definitive, and wondered what your thoughts were.
How old is it again?
It's probably 4 years old.
Yeah. So what happens with these batteries? All lithium-ion batteries have a certain number of cycles, of charge cycles, built in that they can handle. After which, they'll just stop charging. Usually it's around 500. That means a couple of years if you charge every day, discharge and charge every day. You're going to get a couple of years, and then the battery just no longer works. And I think that's what's happened here. So your best bet is to get a new battery. You'll get weird behaviors on some laptops. For instance, they won't run with a bad battery even when plugged in. But one thing you could do is try removing the battery. Is it easy to take the battery out of that laptop? I'm sure it is. Dell's easy.
Oh, yes, and I've taken the battery out and run it just on the charger, and
it works fine.
Yeah, everything works fine.
You just need a new battery. That's exactly what happens with lithium-ion batteries. They fall off a cliff. They don't start getting worse a little bit at a time. They just stop working.
Okay, and that would cause it to have that error message regarding the charger that, it's a Windows doesn't please use, I forget the exact wording, but it had something to do with the charger.
Well, Windows is fine when you take the battery out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's an odd error message, but I think that's pretty indicative of the fact that it's just a bad battery.
All right, we'll give it a try.
Let's hope so anyway, right? It is possible on a laptop for the charging circuitry to stop working and so forth, but I think certainly it's about time. 4 years, that's about right. Time for a new battery. Unfortunately, they charge $90 for new batteries, or more for new batteries, so it's very expensive. If you could find a friend with the same laptop, or I don't know, be nice just to see, put a working battery in there and just to see. I'm pretty sure this is normal, and you just need a new battery. I think I've even heard this message before. Dan in Missoula, Montana. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I'm sick of paying the cable company $150 a month for my landline and internet and telephone, and I'm tired of paying $150 a month for my cell phone. My kids don't have landlines anymore, yet I hear people say don't get rid of them because you need them. And then the other day I was in the shop looking at new phones, and they say you can use the new phones as a Wi-Fi base and get rid of your internet connection. How well does that work?
That's a great question. Yeah, we're seeing more and more people under 25 just not getting landlines at all. But now I'll tell you all of the details. First of all,
okay,
the plans on landlines are 911. If you have a line and you dial 911, know where you are. Secondly, if the cell service goes out, the phone. In fact, in a blackout, if you have an unpowered phone, that'll survive. Let's talk a little bit more when we come back. Laporte, the tech guy. TriCaster crashed. I'll be right back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. There he is. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, joins us every week to talk about digital photography, to encourage you to get out there, shoot some video. He's on Skype right now from, are you in your, it looks like you're in your studio in Tübingen, Germany.
I'm in Tübingen. Hi, Leo.
Hey, Chris. Good to see you. So we have, every month we do this, and I love it. We give out an assignment. We ask people to... it's not a contest. It's not. There's no prizes involved. We just ask them to take your cameras, whatever it is. By the way, it doesn't have to be a fancy camera. You could take your camera phone out and take pictures, illustrating a concept or a theme. This time we were doing music.
And what a fun topic! And lots of people handed in pictures for review, and I've chosen 3 again.
Good.
So,
good.
Let's see. The first one is by Houston Cougars, and it's okay. So it's hard to describe. This picture is kind of several stories in one picture, and it's. I'm not.
So
sure.
I'm going to describe it, and you can then talk about it. Arnie, it looks like Ari, who is of the Houston Cougars. He is a beautiful picture of a big tree limb with a guy on a red swing and a purple shirt and a beard who's swinging on it. And he's all the way up in the air. But oddly enough, there are people on the ground who are up to something completely different. There's a guy with one of those big gongs, and he's gonging it. And then there's a guy sitting right in front of the gong. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's a very weird story happening right there. The guy on the swing is a weird story. It's almost like the guy on the swing is kind of photobombing the other picture, or maybe it's vice versa. I don't know. What I like about it, first of all, it's so surreal that it really makes you look, and it makes you look again.
Yeah.
And then there's this tree limb hanging over the picture, kind of framing it really nicely.
I like how that looks. Yeah, I agree. If you, in fact, you can do an exercise. Just hold your hand over that tree limb, and the picture is not nearly as interesting.
Yeah, all of a sudden the picture, if you remove that tree limb, the picture is open to the top, and you can kind of leave it. But this tree holds you in, and then the background is nice and out of focus, so it doesn't really distract from whatever weird stuff is going on in that picture. And I totally love it. I mean.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway,
so that's and there's music because he's playing a gong. So that's
some
the
music involved. Yeah. Right. The second picture is by Greg, what's his name? Kremiek?
I'll let you...
How would you pronounce that? I butchered that probably. So,
if you can't, I'm sure I can't.
And it's a dueling piano bar scene on stage, and 2 pianos and the 2 guys sitting in front of it, and some people in the audience. And the main reason I chose that is because that is really difficult to get the exposure right off, because you have so much black in that picture. Typical stage situation, black backdrop, the black pianos, the dark unlit people in the front. So a camera seeing all that blackness will very likely overexpose that picture, try to get everything gray and overexpose the people on stage. But this one is perfectly done, so the photographer really knows what he's doing. He's very likely use manual exposure for that. So if you shoot in very, very weird lighting situations, and the stage is certainly one of those, that's where you want to look into manual exposure and kind of playing with that a bit.
It is a story, too, and I think both of these, I think that's what's nice about the assignment, music. It kind of almost asks you to tell a story.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So that's from
really
Copperpick. And again, you can find all of these. We'll put links in the show notes at techguylabs.com so you can see the images we're talking about. But you can also, if you have a Flickr account, flickr.com, you can log into your Flickr account and go join the Tech Guy group, because then you can participate in our next assignment, but you can also see all the submissions, and there are quite a few in the music assignment. Finally, from Saxman, or it's called Saxman. It's from Kev Dia Photo.
Or Kevin Case.
Kevin Case
is his name. And that it's a black and white picture. I've just spent an entire weekend teaching black and white photography, analog film photography. So that really jumped jumped at me. It's telling a story. You have this guy standing under a bridge, again, pretty similar to that tree limb. The bridge is kind of framing it in from the side and from the top. So it really holds that picture together from that side, gives him something in his back. You know how we like to sit with our backs towards the wall because it makes us feel more comfortable? This is the same thing happening here with him kind of standing with his back more towards the wall. So it gives that picture a pretty good feeling of safety. And background is out of focus. You see some people. So I really like that. It's a little story in itself. The only thing that I would have done is I would have straightened it. If you look at the street lights and the bridge on the side, it's kind of skewed. So that I want to kind of straighten that a bit. But other than that, I really like that picture.
And of course, the background is out of focus, which forces the viewer to look.
You have to look at the guy, the only thing in focus.
Yeah, I like that too. 3 nice pictures. Thank you, all 3 of you. No prizes, just the recognition of your job well done. Right. Now, if somebody wants to participate in our new assignment, all you need to do is, if you've got a Yahoo account, you've got a Flickr account. Apparently, Yahoo says, or there have been a lot of stories this week about a complete Flickr redesign. So far, that hasn't happened. Not on my page anyway, but beware that something may change over the next few days. Nevertheless, FLICKR.com, and then do join the Tech Guy group, because if you go to your Flickr account and then you search for a group, there's a group menu, and you type 2 words, TECHGUY. The Tech Guy group will pop up, and join that. It doesn't cost anything, and Orbit Gal will welcome you. You know you're in the right group. There are other ones, I don't know, some that are somebody made or something, but the one that has my smiling face on it, and has 2,348 photos, 9,217 members. That's the place. Orbit Gal will welcome you. And now we need to ask you, Chris, for a new assignment.
Well, I did the same thing. I asked the chat room for a new assignment.
Good thinking.
And Stephen 3X gave me one which I really liked, and that's language.
Language. Oh, man, that's great.
The concept of language. There's so many things you can do with language. I really want to leave it open to everyone to interpret that in any way they like. Language. Just
Great.
Language.
So go to Flickr and, well, first take pictures and then tag them with the word language and then upload them to our Tech Guy group.
Yeah. Take a new picture. That's kind of the important thing. I want you guys to go out and shoot. It's not. Don't just pull one out that you took 5 years ago. Create a new picture around language and then
make some fresh pictures. Go to chrismarquardt.com to find out what Chris is up to, including his workshops, his podcasts, and his Pocket Chris app for the iPhone. It's all at ChrisMarquardt.com. You know what? We've got it at TechGuyLabs.com. Just click the link there. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. We'll talk again next week.
Thank you. Talk to you.
Great to talk to you. Take care. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. We continue on. And before the break, we were talking about replacing your landline service and your internet service with your cell phone. So I talked a little bit about the negative of that. And one of the reasons people do often keep a landline is for emergencies. So 911, there is 911 on your cell phone, but of course, remember, with your cell phone, you're driving around. So your location isn't automatic. You know, they have to. Sometimes they do with the 911. You can use the cell phone's GPS, but oftentimes you have to say, I don't know where I am. And when the power goes out, often cell service goes out, but phone service may persist. Let me talk about hotspotting, though, how you can replace your internet service provider. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, right after this. Whoa, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Oscar night. I'm excited. I'll be on a plane. I guess I get internet access on the plane, so that's good. So I guess I have to set up. I had dismantled picked a bad time to dismantle my Slingbox setup because I'm moving and I wanted to take it with me. I guess I'll hook it all up again before I leave. 8888, ask Leo. That's the phone number. So the second issue about, I think more and more people are doing this. They're basically cutting the cord. So using your cell phone instead of your landline. That I think is fine as long as you understand that 911 is a little bit different. It's an E911. It calls a regional 911 center instead of your local 911 center, and they don't automatically know where you are. And everybody should have one of these. You can get them at Radio Shack or often online. A phone that doesn't plug into the wall, doesn't need power. It plugs into the phone jack, and that's it. See, the phone company, if you have a real phone company, not if you're using your cable company, but your phone company provides power down that line. So in the old days, back when you dialed a phone, if the power went out, the phone still worked. And I think that's really important. Last summer when I guess it was last fall when the hurricanes were hitting the East Coast, I told my mom, you have a phone that you don't plug in, right? She said, no. I said, get one. And just keep it. Plug it into the wall. It should still work even when the power's out. That's really important. So both of those are great reasons to have a landline. But, what is it, $15, $10 extra a month? Now, he has another thought, which is he wants to use his phone as a hotspot instead of buying internet service. There's some other negatives to that. Sure, it'll work. First of all, you have to have a phone and a provider that allow you to do that. You don't actually have to use your phone. Many companies offer MiFi cards or something similar, credit card size device that is a internet access point, a hotspot that uses a 3G or 4G network. But remember to check with your phone company, about caps. What's the maximum amount of data you can download? Most of them limit you at 5 gigabytes, and lately AT&T has been limiting people after a gigabyte or two. They've been throttling people. They just lost a small claims court case in Simi Valley on Friday. In fact, we interviewed yesterday on the show. I hope you heard it. The guy who won that case, Matt Scaparelli. He won $850 from AT&T. It's not a precedent, though, because it's small claims court, but it does kind of open the door to further claims against AT&T. So if you're on AT&T, don't expect to be doing all the downloading you've been doing on your cable or your satellite or your phone company internet. It'll also be, in most cases, a little bit slower, although that varies depending on what kind of 3G or 4G you have and how many other people are using it in your neck of the woods. And it could be more expensive per month. I love the idea of turning my phone or MiFi device into a hotspot, and I do it all the time, but I do it when I travel, not so much at home. I think the lowest cost, highest speed internet is usually landline service into your home. That's probably a better way to go. If you just use the internet occasionally, you don't really care about speed, you just want a little cup of internet access, then I think the phone probably is a good solution. David is in La Mirada, California. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I am well. How are you, David? Thanks for hanging on.
We're doing fine. I've got a question or two along the same lines. I'd just like to find the correct path, or the lowest cost path, I should say. I need to buy 2 new phones, and I want to get smartphones, but I'm trying to minimize the data plan costs. So what I really need in order of priority is the phone, of course, just a small PDA, and Wi-Fi access. And the data plan, I don't know if I really need it.
Yeah, the problem is, of course, the phone company knows that, and most smartphones, they make you buy a data plan.
Could you buy an uncommitted phone and do it yourself, or would that work?
Well, there are people you can look at, like Boost and Virgin and companies like that are no-contract companies, Metro PCS, that have the lowest cost plans in general. You want to make sure if you get those systems that they provide good coverage in the places that you go. They're not as necessarily, the coverage maps are not as complete. You should also, a chat room saying this, look at T-Mobile, because T-Mobile, as the also-ran, they're the little phone company now, especially since that AT&T acquisition fell through. They have pay-as-you-go plans that are pretty cost-effective. And now T-Mobile also offers, I think, a better range of phones than the pay-as-you-go companies. But they will. But they in most, and they have contract-free phones as well. I think, of course, in all of these cases, you're not getting an iPhone; you're getting an Android phone.
Right.
There's a new service that I've been using. I have one of their phones, and I like a lot, called Ting. That is really interesting, and if they have coverage in your area, I would absolutely take a look at them. Ting. They have inexpensive smartphones, Android phones, but they do something really interesting. You say when you sign up for Ting how much data and phone and minutes and so forth you want. If you don't use it all, they don't bill you. They actually refund you the money. So a lot of these companies have rollover. These guys don't do rollover. They actually give you your money back. I know. It doesn't seem possible, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, if Ting is available in your area, I really like what they're doing.
Ting.
Ting.com. Okay. But it's similar. There's a number of companies like this. They're reselling Sprint service. So it's a question is, do you have Sprint in your area? And if you do, then you'd be able to use Ting. And it's really, you pay one fee for as many phones as you want. It's very bizarre the way it works, and you guess what you're going to use. Their plans are extra small, small, medium, large, XL, and XXL. So you pick a plan, but then if you don't use it, they'll give you the money back. So you really only pay for what you use, which I kind of like.
Well, that sounds like something I could fit into. My problem is I've got my wife and I have two separate places, and so we could pay for ISP there and ISP here, and now we're going to pay for two more mobile ISPs. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just it's not that much money, but when you start adding it up and adding it up and adding it up, and we don't really use it.
Yeah, go look at the pricing. They have a plans section on Ting, and you'll see kind of how it works. As you sign up, and you can have a variety of different devices, number of devices. And so they'll charge you by the number of devices, and then it's a very interesting model. I hope they're successful, frankly, because I think this is what we force all the cell phone companies to kind of rethink how they do business. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theaters, anything with a chip in it. Phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536. If you've got a question or a comment, a suggestion, I'd love to hear from it. The website is techguylabs.com. That's where you can go to find show notes from previous shows, all 851 of them. Yes, 851. And that isn't even the full complement of shows. It's just the ones that we have recorded. There's more than that. That's just going back to 2004. I figured anything before 2004 doesn't really matter. We also have a chat room there. It's always fun. About more than 1,000 people in there right now. We spawned another room, I think. When we hit 1,000, we open another room. Link to the chat is at techguylabs.com. Link to the live video, too. You can watch as well as listen. But the most important thing is a phone number, 8888-ASK-LEO. Aaron is in Phoenix, Arizona, our next call of the day. Hi, Aaron. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Aaron, are you there? I hear dead silence.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. All right, let's move along to Charles in Visalia, California. Hi, Charles. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Well, I attempted to begin a YouTube series sometime last year about, I called it Budget Gamer Review.
Oh, what a good idea.
Reviewing older games or games that are cheap, have a lot of value for the amount of money you put in. And, I recorded a first episode. I used an audio track, and I used, still images and video clips and that sort of thing to kind of add some humor and variety to it. And, it was really great. Showed it to a few friends and some other people who were sort of the target audience for it, and people liked it. But then my motherboard crashed when I tried to put a new a video card in. And I lost all the information on my hard drive because I hadn't backed it up. And so I went back about last month to try to, start it up again. And I was using Audacity to record the audio. And when I went in there, I just found that Audacity was just didn't want to cooperate with me. I was having a hard time, copying and cutting audio clips and that sort of thing. So I was wondering what would be the best tool to use for that as far as ease of use goes.
It's just audio, no video.
Well, I am editing video, but as far as recording the audio, I'm wondering what the best option for that is.
Because, to be honest, a lot of times people, we do this. We make audio and video available of all of our shows, but the way we do it is we edit the video, and then we just export a soundtrack, an audio track.
Well, I'm not, recording myself talking about the
game.
I'm using other video clips and images and that sort of thing.
So you start with an audio clip, and then you'll put it in your video editor and start putting pictures along with the words.
Exactly.
I get it. Well, Audacity's free. That's its advantage. It's open source. And it is not unusual for people to say, yeah, Audacity crashes on me, or it's unreliable, and so forth. There are other choices. There's quite a few choices. I use Macintoshes to record, although I do actually love, in fact, when I was just doing audio, often used Adobe Audition. But it is far from free. It's several $100s. But I think that is the queen of audio programs on the Windows. The reason is it was based on a great program called Cool Edit that was kind of a shareware program around for years and years and years, and is just fantastic. But let's see, Audition. If you have an upgrade, it's $99. But if you're buying a new one, it's probably a couple $100. Of course, they don't tell me on the site. So it's probably out of your price range. You might want to take a look at something called Reaper. This is the chat room says this is a good solution. It is what we call a DAW, a D-A-W, Digital Audio Workstation, REAPER.FM. I haven't used it myself, but chat room says they like it. And when I look at the purchase price at the website, it says cost not so much. So It looks like it's actually about the same as Audition if you buy a full commercial license, $225, but they do offer a $60 discounted license if you're just an individual using it for personal use. And, you're in a kind of an interesting middle ground where I'm sure you'd like to make money on your podcast, but I doubt you are at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, I've made money on putting videos out on the internet before. But this is a completely new venture, and I would like to make money.
They say if you make less than $20,000 a year in your gross revenue, you can use the non-commercial version. So I think you'd qualify.
Is that right? Okay.
That's $60. Let's see. There are some other good choices. I like Sony Vegas. That's a really excellent program, but it's more Audition priced.
Okay. I'm really looking cheap to free, if that's at all possible.
Cheap to free.
Right now.
Well, you can download Reaper and use it for free. You don't even have to pay for it at all if you don't want to.
Okay.
So I would I haven't used it. I'm going to have to. It looks pretty sweet. Looks like it has a lot of capability. So I'd start with that. Reaper.fm. Chat room. Do you have any other freebies besides Audacity? Most people end up using Audacity, and I have seen Audacity can be a little bit crashy, to be honest.
Oh yeah, it crashed a lot, and I was having a lot of difficulty too with. I don't know. It contextually allows you or doesn't allow you to copy clips, to cut them up and that sort of thing, and it was just it was too frustrating to deal with.
Try Reaper, and then if you really get serious and you start making some money, get Adobe Audition. I just think that's what I used for years, and I just love it. I wish Cool Edit and Cool Edit Pro were still available, because that was what they were based on. But that thing that's been around for so long, and I think has evolved beautifully. It's very mature.
Oh, sounds good. Thanks, Leo.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. And I do see in the chat room a link to 25 free digital audio editors. We'll put that. Thank you, Mr. IQ. We'll put that in the show notes. So if you're in the mood to download 25 free ones, wow. Audacity, Power Sound Editor, MP3 Direct Cut, Music Editor free, Wavesaur, Traverso, Ardor. I've heard good things about Ardor, ARDOUR. I believe that's an open source solution. Rose Garden, Hydrogen, WavePad, and they go on and on and on. Wow, that's a crowded category. My experience with free editors and open source editors is what you really don't want is spend hours working on something and then it crashes on you and you lose everything. So sometimes free is a false economy. Michael, Rancho Santa Margarita, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Leo. Listen, I really appreciate your sharing your knowledge with us. It's absolutely amazing how much you know, I tell you. Listen, I've had a DVD recorder for a long time. It has a hard drive,
right,
and has really excellent editing capabilities, so that I can record shows and take out commercials, that kind of thing. And it's pretty old, and it's going to go. And what I'd like to be able to do is, I guess, do this on a PC-based software. I was wondering if you could recommend something for that.
What is the source material? Is it still VHS tapes, or do you have something else you're recording?
Oh, no. No, I hope this is legal, but what I do is I will capture something on my DVR for the cable for my that content, and then I can transfer that to a hard drive, and then if I have commercials on it, I can edit out the commercials. Then I burn the DVD from that, and it's all been very convenient. So.
As long as you're not selling that DVD in a blanket on your front lawn, I think you're probably all right.
No, I'm not doing that yet.
And to be honest, if somebody's editing out commercials, they probably see more of the commercial than the guy who gets up and gets a sandwich. So I think it's all right.
You're right. Yeah.
I think it's all right.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good.
Let me talk about some solutions. The most challenging issue is going to be getting it off the DVR into your computer. But we'll talk when we get back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
If I'm a Muppet, then I'm a very manly Muppet. I am a Muppet, or am I a man?
Is this the nominee?
If I'm a man, that makes me
It is.
Man or Muppet? Nominated for Best Original Song from the Muppets, the movie. I had not... Who's singing Am I a Man or a Muppet? Is that somebody famous?
Jason Segel.
Jason Segel, really? There's only 2 songs nominated in that category. It's that or Real and Rio from Rio. Tell you what, we'll play that when we come back next break. I think Man or Muppet has to win.
I agree.
I'm handing in my Oscar ballot right now. I just checked that one off. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Jody is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hi, Jody. Leo Laporte.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I am well, Jody. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
What does it say about me when I have you actually programmed into my cell phone?
It says you're a brilliant, brilliant person, and that you must always call me whenever you have a question.
I do, and I've actually tracked 100 attempts in one session and gave up. So
well, it's not your fault. I mean, it's a show is heard in 170 cities across the country and on satellite, and we have and there's a lot of people who say I don't know what the heck's going on, so they're calling, and we have 5 lines, a total of 5 lines in the studio, and that's not because they can't afford more, they could. But the problem is I only maybe do 10 calls an hour at most. So if I had more than 5 lines, you'd be on hold longer than you already were.
Well, actually, I wasn't on the hold too long, and I feel very privileged to be able to talk to you.
I'm glad you got through. Is this your first time?
No, I've called a couple times
Good.
before. We've
All right.
spoken in the past.
I'll give you my cell number. You just call me directly. It'll be much easier next time.
Yeah, just go ahead and rattle that off. I don't think anyone's
Nobody's listening. It's just us.
No one's listening. I'm calling because I have a audio recording that exceeds 10 minutes that I don't think I can upload to YouTube, but I could swear at one point in my past I was able to upload a large audio recording where I was able to give people a web address where they could listen to it. And I'm wondering if you have any suggestions to that.
Yes, there are a number of places. And I think that YouTube, you can now go more than 10 minutes. I think they've changed their limits.
Okay.
But the one I use, it's free and I love, is called SoundCloud.
Okay.
SoundCloud. My son introduced me to it. He's 17. He makes his own music, and he uses it to upload his songs. But a number of other people use it for spoken word. In fact, I think we're going to start using SoundCloud on the new radio show site to post audio from the radio show. So there's a pro version, but I think the free version does allow you 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure.
The recording, I believe, is around 20. Do you know if it would go that high?
Free, you get 120 total minutes.
Oh, good. Okay. That answers my question.
Yeah, and it's you can have secret link sharing, so you don't have to make it public if you don't want to. It's great. I love SoundCloud, and you may, it's if you, it's not expensive if you do, if you're a musician and you want to share your music, things like that. It has a Facebook widget, all sorts of stuff.
All right, terrific. Well, thank you very much.
Sure, Jody. There are lots of other solutions out there now for sharing files. Dropbox, of course, is very famous. It gives you 2 gigs to start, so if that audio file is less than 2 gigs, you could use Dropbox.com. Microsoft SkyDrive, I think, is 5 gigs, right? Or is it more? It seems to be quite a few. There's lots of choices out there now for sharing files that would work for any arbitrary file, including an audio file. 25 gigs for SkyDrive. That's great. MediaFire. Somebody just told me about MediaFire. So there's lots of choices. Oh, hey, here's a good one. I just found this one. Box.net. Remember Box.net? They've been around for some time. Online file storage. If you sign up for Box.net in the next few weeks on your Android phone, they'll give you 50 gigs of storage free forever. Unfortunately, and they did it for the iPhone last month. Unfortunately, I think they have a limit on the size of the files that might be smaller than what you need. But 50 gigs is a lot of storage. But individual files, I can't remember what the limit is. Is it 120 megs? That should be enough for 20 minutes. In fact, that's easily enough for 20 minutes. So Box.net. They also have Box.com now. And if you have an Android phone, take it. I mean, whether you know you're going to need it or not, why not just grab it? 50 gigs free is a lot of storage. Oh, hey, thank you. Web7583 in our chat room mentioned, people don't know this, but Google Docs, if you have a Google Docs account, if you have a Google account, a Gmail account, or whatever you do, allows you to upload any kind of file. I think people sometimes think, well, if it's not a word processor or a spreadsheet, or a PDF or something. No, any kind of file, including audio files. And I think the current limit is 7 gigabytes, but, it's always going up, and you can buy more if you want. So Google Docs, you're right. That's another way to upload a file of any arbitrary type and then share it. I think I'm over-answering now. Mark, and too many choices. Mark in Murrieta, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mark.
King Leo, I'm a big fan of everything you do.
Bless you.
Everything you do.
Thanks so much.
My question is about televisions. I'm looking to buy a new TV. I'm confused about the whole refresh rate thing.
Yes.
And I'm also trying to avoid the whole soap opera effect thing that I see on some of your televisions.
Yes.
I can't stand that.
Yeah, good. That's good to know. So here's what that whole refresh thing is about. Television is 30 frames a second, period. 60 fields, 30 frames. So on a progressive scan TV, that means 60 frames because they don't do interlacing. The 60 fields was interlaced frames to give you 30 frames per second. So if you that's all you're ever going to get from any signal. Period. That's the standard. That's the standard for broadcast, for television, for DVDs, for Blu-ray, for everything. But there is an effect in LCD TVs that people don't like. Now, when I say LCD, I mean liquid crystal displays. Sometimes they call them LED because of the backlight being an LED, but that's the same thing. On all LCD TVs, there's the response time's a little slower than it was on tube TVs or even on plasma TVs. So response time is measuring how fast it takes a pixel on the TV, to go from black to all the way on to black again. And on even the fastest LCDs, it's 5 or 6 or 7 milliseconds. On a slower LCD, it can be a lot more than that. Now, what is the upshot of that? Well, if there's action, so if you're watching sports, if you watched the Daytona 500 yesterday, or you're watching football, or you're watching action movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the action gets a little blurred. The TV, because it's a little bit slower, cannot give you crisp action. So what they do is they simulate it. They give you a better look by interpolating frames. Instead of showing you 60 frames a second, they'll show you 120 or 240 frames per second. And that is exactly what you're talking about when you say the soap opera effect. If you turn that on a TV, it looks like it's a little... It looks like it's a soap opera, or it's a little plasticky. It's a little hyper real. It's a little weird looking. Some people, by the way, love that.
Some people don't notice it.
Some people don't notice it. Some people love it. The good news is you can turn it off on any TV that you buy. It's never required. Hold on, Mark. We'll talk a little more in a second. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I want to see Jason Segel and Miss Piggy on the stage. Is it really? Is that? I mean, there's only 2 original songs that are worth nominating in the whole year. That says something. We're going to continue on with our most recent call, and I'll finish it. But I forgot to finish the call on the guy who wants to edit video on his computer from his DVR. So we'll talk some more about that. Did we lost the caller? I was talking to. What's going on? What's going on? Oh, well. What were we talking about? I don't even remember. He's gone. Well, let's finish the DVR editing thing. So, presuming that you can get the video off your DVR, well, that's non-trivial, by the way. Most DVRs now are locked down in some way so that you can't. They're encrypted or they prevent you. But if you've got a method for getting it off your TiVo or whatever DVR you're using onto your computer, then, my recommendation for video editing, it's under $100. It's very powerful. Lets you burn it and everything, is Premiere Elements from Adobe. Adobe Premiere Elements, under $100. Really excellent. Highly recommend it. And it'll do everything you need in a very easy way. You may need to transcode the video depending on the format it comes off the DVR. That was the one question. The other one was about buying an LCD TV, and we were talking about this soap opera effect. And on any LCD TV that has this kind of high frame rate, 120 or 240 megahertz, you can turn it off, so you're not stuck with it. It's usually the first thing I do when I have an LCD TV. However, I certainly wouldn't pay extra for that feature unless you know you like it. And if you buy a plasma TV, it's much less of an issue. Plasma has a very high response time, almost the same as a CRT. So people avoid that either by buying plasma, or if it doesn't bother you that there's it's just a little blurry with action. It never bothered me. You could turn off the frame interpolation. Aaron in Phoenix, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Aaron. How are you?
Good to hear you this time. Sweet. DJ LL, how are you?
I'm great, Aaron. Aaron is a regular in our chat room, for those who don't know. And
I deny everything completely.
Yeah. What can I do for you today?
So here's the thing. So I'm in the throes of staying married, and I'm building a computer for my wife, and you've been helping me a great deal.
That's a very nice thing to do, Aaron.
So here's something. The goal was to get it completed by today, but gosh, it's been 10 years since I've built one, and things have changed, or I've gotten older. I'm saying things have changed. And my eyes have gotten worse. The thing is, 2 absolute things she demands that I blame you for are it is going to have ESET on both of them.
Good.
Every computer in the house is going to have ESET on it.
Good.
Guaranteed. And the other thing is it's going to have carbonite on it. We're going to have carbonite, as well as I have in the computer backup storage as well. Preferably, I'm going to move eventually to a secondary storage that's like a backup hard drive that then I can take to my son's house and leave it there. But that'll stay there and I'll bring it home.
Okay.
And do that probably once a week or something.
Okay.
My question is this: has I set it up? What I want to set the system up is my first time dealing with Windows 7. I want to set it up so that the C drive is Windows primarily only, so that when I want to do a fresh install every year, do a clean out, get all the bugs out, stuff like that, all I have to do is just basically, scrape it and redo it, and it's all good. And then I still have all my data, my pictures, my documents.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
How does carbonite affect that? Doesn't carbonite just back up the C drive?
No, it doesn't care about that. It just backs up the internal drive. I don't think it cares about whether it's a C or D drive.
But it's not going to back up on mine because I actually have I have 4 terabytes of internal
Well, yeah, and
stuff.
you don't want on any online backup, carbonite or otherwise, you got to be careful about not backing up everything. 4 terabytes may take forever forever and ever and ever. So probably what you're going to want to do is tell it to back up My Documents, and then judiciously have it back up music or photos, the things that take up a lot of space. So it doesn't care if it's C or D. It just backs up your user, your home directory. And so I think you'll be fine on that. I think this is a good solution. It's interesting. The next version of Windows, Windows 8, we're going to see a preview of that in just a few days. They're releasing the consumer preview of Windows 8 in Barcelona on the 29th, Leap Day. But one of the features it's going to have, and I think this is great, at least according to Microsoft, is this ability to revert. Microsoft used to offer a program called Steady State that would do this, and there are third-party programs you can buy that will do this. But this is going to be built into the next version of Windows. You can press a switch that says, I've screwed this up. It's in bad shape. Would you please just go back to the setup, to the way it was, and delete any viruses, any malware, any documents, whatever, just start all over again. And I think that's really smart. It's more than system restore. It's letting the system go back to a known good state. And I think this is one of many additional features they're putting into Windows that are going to make it more secure. Aaron, you're a good husband. Good luck. Carbonite should work just fine. Don't try to back up 4 terabytes, though. That would be kind of crazy. Unless you have so much bandwidth. Thomas in Georgetown, Texas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, always loved your opinion on different things.
Thank you.
I was going to ask, I have a couple of things, just really quick. One of them was referring to the main reason I called, and I thought of something later. But when you were talking about the guy who had his phone where they were getting messages off it.
Right.
And you said that the only way they can get the program on there would be to physically access the phone.
Right.
I was curious if you heard or have looked at the online Android market. If you log in, so if let's say
that's true. If they had his Google credentials, they could force install an app that's in the market. You're absolutely right.
However, you would have to set it up. But I was just curious if you had heard about that.
Yeah, no, that would presume, you're right. That would presume that his Google account was compromised. But if that's a very good point, and that is a possibility. So if you go to market.android.com and you have an Android phone and you log in with the same account that's on the phone, you can say, I want to install this app, and it will actually send it to the phone. In fact, I did it just a couple of hours ago on this show. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. It works, and that could be that he perhaps has given those credentials to somebody or somebody broke into his Google account. So that's a very good point, Thomas.
Oh, thank you. I was just talking about that. But,
I don't think that spy app is available in the Google store, however. I think you have to download it from a third party.
Oh, okay.
He should be careful, though. In fact, what he might want to do is reset the phone, erase all data, and create a new Google account. That's very good advice.
Another thing I was looking at was we live out in the middle of nowhere. The best thing I think we have is a landline phone. However, there's no internet available, and I was wondering if you knew of any type of connection, like satellite or anything else, that had a decent upload speed and a lot better than 2 megabit download.
Yeah, if you're in a rural area, often satellite is your only choice. There are some very negative features to satellite. First of all, it's expensive because you have to buy the gear, and then the upload speed is very slow, usually no faster than dial-up, sometimes even slower. And if you think about it, it's not so surprising because it has to uplink to a satellite. Download speeds tend to be around 400 kilobits. That's it. So you're not... For a fairly high cost, you're not getting much of an improvement in speed, and latency on satellites is really bad, so you can't use Skype or gaming. So sometimes it's the best you can do, but in most cases it's not a very good choice. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
A treat. Delicious things to eat. The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just...
This portion of the Tech Guy Show brought to you by FreshBooks. FreshBooks, easy online service to do your invoices. It'll save you time and get you paid faster. Join over 3 million users and try it free at FreshBooks.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Of course, the Oscars are tonight. And do not be deceived. There are... I just got tricked by it. Somebody in the chat room put a link in the chat room to Oscar2012live.com. That's not an official feed. It looks like an official feed if you go there. It's got the picture of the Oscar. It's got the 84th Academy Awards. Watch online now. It looks real. They are not streaming the Oscars live online. And this, I'm sure, if the Oscar folks find this site, this will be down soon. If you click Watch Online now, it bills you $30 for unlimited access to over 3,500 channels via Satellite Direct. Pretty sure this is illegal in every respect. And I'm not sure I'd give them $30. If you're lucky and you give them $30, you actually will get some sort of internet-based link to an antenna somewhere, but it's illegal. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's malicious code. So do not fall for that. The official Academy Awards are not being streamed online. In fact, the only thing you can watch online is Oscar Backstage Pass. They have an iPhone and an iPad app, and I presume on the website they'll have some of that backstage action. But you or maybe they've got the Croatian feed. I don't know, but that's not what it looks like. It's not. There is, unfortunately, we were answering, I think it was Thomas, about getting internet access in the country. And if you are in a rural area, and this is something that the FCC has become very involved in, you're a little bit disenfranchised. And I think we all agree now that the internet access is more than just a luxury. It is how people participate in our economy, in government, and many other things. And certainly as an internet broadcaster myself, I do all but this show on the internet only. This is the only show I do on broadcast, traditional broadcast, but I do 30 other shows that are on internet only. And as an internet broadcaster, I really believe that high-speed internet access should be available for everybody in the country. But the problem is it's too expensive to wire areas that have very thin populations, chiefly rural areas, because, you're not going to trench cable out there, and so you need a wireless solution. Satellite solutions are barely okay. In some areas, there are microwave solutions. If you're lucky and you're close to a 4G or 3G cell network, that might be your best choice. And I hope the FCC makes some headway. I think ultimately it's going to have to be government subsidized, just as we subsidized rural electrification. It was the same problem. Getting electricity to farmhouses is expensive. Telephone poles, wires, and you got one customer. You probably never make that money back. And if it weren't for the government subsidizing it, we wouldn't have rural electrification. I think we're going to have to do something similar with the internet. And I do believe that's what the FCC broadband plan is designed to do. We're going to take a little break, come back. Coming up, Marty from Claremont, California. He wants to sync his computers together. There are ways and ways to do that, but before we get there, let's talk a little bit about backup. It's so important, backing up that vital data on your hard drive. Hard drives die, computers get lost or stolen. Bad things happen, disasters happen. And part of having a computer is having a disaster plan. It's especially true for small businesses. I know so many small business people. They have a computer, everything's on there, their financials and everything, but they don't really have a coherent, reliable backup plan. That's where Carbonite comes in. What a fantastic solution for homes, small businesses, even for enterprise. Carbonite's got something for you. Visit carbonite.com. It's encrypted private backup on the internet. And it is great. The price is right, too. It starts at $59 a year, less than $5 a month. And then you can have multiple computers, multiple hard drives. You buy the plan you need. If you go right now to carbonite.com, use the offer code Leo. You could try it free for at least 15 days. You don't need a credit card, just my name. And then if you're going to buy, make sure you use my name Leo again, because you'll get 14 months for the price of 12. That's a heck of a deal. Carbonite is backup done right. carbonite. Use my name Leo for a extra special trial offer and long-term deal. I just think they're the greatest. They call themselves the better backup plan, and it's true for business or for home. Marty, Claremont, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Marty.
Hello, Leo. Thank you for taking the call. You've kind of got the summary of what I'm trying to do. I have two Windows PCs, one at home, and one on my studio, which is a couple hundred feet away. And then I have an iPad, and I use Outlook. I have Windows 7 on the PCs.
Okay.
I have a Verizon email address, and I've been struggling the last couple of weeks trying different things that will automatically and easily, keyword easily, sync calendar, contacts, and email. Now, I'm on a trial for Microsoft 365, which I thought was going to be the thing. I've tried iCloud. I've tried some trials of some commercial software.
I'll be honest with you, and you may, some people may think that Google is, snooping on us or whatever, but Google has got the best solutions for exactly this. You get a Gmail account, your Gmail is everywhere. You use Google Contacts, your contract book contacts, address book is everywhere. You use Google Calendar, your calendar is everywhere. It syncs easily. It works with smartphones, works with Windows, works with Mac. I just really like the Google solution. Have you tried that?
Yeah. No, intuitively I knew that was going to be the last stop with Google. The only thing is I'll have to change my email address to a Google address, which is at the end of the world.
You may be able to forward existing email, or in fact, I guarantee you'll be able to get Gmail to access your email from your old account. So you can set up Gmail to download your email, just as you set up Outlook to download your email right now. You can have Gmail do that. And that way all your mail lives on Gmail.
Right. I think I will try. I kind of knew somehow that's where it was going to go.
It's a good solution. Now, I'll raise this privacy issue. You should read Google's privacy statement. Understand it's absolutely free service with a lot of capabilities, and the way you pay for that is Google puts ads on many of those products. And you should know the way they get information about those ads is by watching what you search for, what's in your email, and so forth. I don't consider it, and I certainly consider it worth it. I don't consider it an invasion of privacy because I don't believe that they care what Leo Laporte, am doing. They just want to serve ads that are targeted at me. And that seems a fair trade. I don't think that that's an invasion of privacy.
Right, I agree. I'm not doing anything any different than anybody else is. Just have at it.
They don't care. They don't care what Marty's up to. They just want to serve him ads that he likes.
Right. So, okay, I'll try that.
Yeah, as long as you're comfortable with that, I think Google's got it down. And I'll tell you, when you move to a smartphone, iPhone, Android, even Windows Phone, having a Google account makes everything much, much easier.
Is Google IMAP based?
It does support IMAP. It supports POP and IMAP.
That's a good thing. Okay, I just wanted to see what you thought. That's kind of what I thought, so I appreciate your...
You're welcome, Marty. Somebody in the chat room said, Hotmail doesn't spy on you. Well, of course they do. Of course they do. And I'll tell you how you know if somebody's looking at your email. Do they offer spam protection? If they do, and Hotmail does, how do you think they determine whether mail is spam? They read the mail. Now, you may say, well, that's different than what Google's doing. It isn't. It's the same exact thing. Instead, what's happening is a computer program goes through keywords in your mail. One program says that's spam based on what the keywords is, or it's not spam. The other program says, well, give him these ads based on what's in the email. And in no time is a human reading your mail, or nor does a human care. So if you want anti-spam filtering, whether your ISP provides it or Google provides it or Microsoft provides it, you must allow them to read your mail. So when Microsoft, and they've done this, Microsoft puts out videos, I call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt videos, saying Google's spying on you, it's really missing the boat. It's doing exactly what you're doing, Microsoft. Exactly. It's FUD when you see that. Unless you are, and by the way, of course the federal government and your ISP are filtering through everything too. In fact, the one advantage you might have with Google Mail is its encrypted transmission. So only you and Google and your recipients can see that email. With many other services, because it doesn't use secure HTTP, anybody can see the email. So there might be more spying going on if you're using your internet service provider. I guess my point is it's complicated. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Have a great geek week.